Appreciate it.
Mr. President, before I move to refer the speech of the gentleman and the succeeding interpellations to a committee, Senator Pacquiao wishes to make a manifestation, not an interpellation.
Senator Pacquiao is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will not going to interpolate, but to manifest that for the record, Mr. President, I would suggest that to have dialogue with between the Senate representative and the President to aid the President in choosing the chairman of SBMA. I think that would be good and manapagaganda ito para mag-move yung plano natin para ma-actionan lahat ng mga problema dito sa napakalaki at napakalaking tulong sa ating bansa pag ito ay ma-maximize yung facilities. Thank you.
Thank you po. Hindi lang po sa Subic, ngunit yung team dun sa Central Luzon, sa Northern Luzon, sa Southern Luzon. Kailangan yung mga team natin talagang teamwork para yung ilalagay, hindi lang magaling, ngunit talaga may vision at kayang pagalawin ng tao. Because after all, leadership is the ability to make the people move and do what they have to do.
That's why, Mr. President, I would suggest that to have a dialogue with the President to talk about this problem, and later on we can it can help a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Forever.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move that we refer the privileged speech of the gentleman to the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and the Committee on Trade.
The Committee on Accountability of
Public Officers, because the speech was mentioning the fact that there were many items and many things that are missing already in the Subic.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, the privileged speech of Senator Gordon together with the interpolations are hereby referred to the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, earlier we also had guests of Senator Pacquiao. He has two resolutions with us today, but let me acknowledge the guests of Senator Pacquiao, Mr. Abdurrahman Kanakan, the Chancellor of the Mindanao State University, together the General Santos Campus, together with his wife, Mrs. Laila Kanakan, and Dr. Marlene Abiera, the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and Mrs. Fanny Kumosing, Budget Officer of the Mindanao State University. Also, Miss Emma Cordero, Mrs. Universe 2016, together with the MCOR Voice on an Angel Foundation, Mr. President. I would like to acknowledge their presence and welcome them to the Senate.
We welcome our guests and make their presence of record at for today's session.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move for the consideration of PS Resolution 165.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is in order.
May we ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure without
Secretary will
prejudice
read
to
the title of
inserting
the
into
measure.
records, entire text.
Resolution regulating the use, integration into the records of the Senate and proper archival of film, video clips, multimedia, or similar devices used by any senator to whom the floor has been assigned by the chair in plenary session.
Mr. President, this proposed resolution, which was read into the records about a day or two ago, was the brainchild of the Senate President. The intention, as clearly stipulated in the title, has three main objectives. First, to limit to 30 minutes the showing of videos or similar materials during the delivery of privileged speeches, making motions, arguments, and debates, or every time a senator takes the floor for that matter. The idea behind the proposal is to regulate the use of various technology-based visual aids employed by our colleagues every time they take the floor, which otherwise are not covered by the rules of the Senate, and make efficient the time of Senate sessions. Second, Mr. President, is to make these visual aids to form part of the records of the Senate. While the slide presentation is being explained by a senator sponsoring the measure, the contents in the slides are not being reflected in the transcript. More so for the video presentation, wherein all the spoken words, narrations, or acts presented in the video clips are not incorporated in our Senate records and will only place in the transcript of the record the phrase, "At this juncture, the video was played." Ayun ang nangyayari sa journal no? So, through this resolution, we can put in place a system by which PowerPoints and video clip presentations can be made accessible at any time, probably through digital means for our respective perusals. And lastly, the proper archiving of the video or multimedia materials at our Legislative Records and Archive Service for safekeeping. So unless there are any questions, I would like to proceed and proceed with the period of amendments because there are some proposed amendments to the resolution, Mr. President.
The Majority Leader can proceed with the period of amendments as apparently there are no questions from the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some minor amendments on the measure. On the fourth whereas clause, delete the entire paragraph and replace it with the following. Whereas the aforesaid video clips, multimedia, or other similar devices used during a speech, comma, motion or question shall be sent to and made accessible at any time at the Legislative and Archives Service. I move for the adoption, Mr. President.
Any
For the
objection?
amendment.
Hearing none.
Next, Mr. President, on the fifth paragraph or the first resolutory clause, the third line, between the words per and speech, delete the word privilege.
Any objection? Hearing none. Adopted.
On the same paragraph and line, after the word speech, insert a punctuation, comma, and the words motion or question.
Any objection? Hearing none.
On the last paragraph, delete the entire paragraph and replace it with the following. Resolved further that the contents of all films, video clips, multimedia, or other similar devices shown or played before the plenary shall be summarized and integrated into the records of the Senate before said devices are sent to the Legislative Records and Archives Service for safekeeping. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? An editorial amendment, maybe we say resolve finally instead of resolve further.
Accepted, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none.
Thank you. Mr. President, there are no other amendments. I move to close the period of amendment.
So closed.
I move to adopt PS Resolution 165 as amended, subject to style, Mr. President.
There's a motion that proposed Senate Resolution number 165 be adopted. Is there as amended? Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.